Hello, today we shall be discussing the birth pangs of a new global economic order. Africa has suffered various economic challenges over the last decades. The global financial crisis impacting other parts of the world have seldom touched Africa because of how little share Africa has of the global GDP. But this time it's different. One would look at least three waves in the past 30 years. In 1989, when the Berlin Wall fell, there was a big hue and celebration, and most people stated that socialism had finally collapsed, or some would have called it the triumph of capitalism. But since then, we've seen capitalism come into discredit. In the 2008 financial crisis, often called a global financial crisis, but which I prefer to call a Western financial crisis, we saw capitalism being discredited. And the question was asked, is there something wrong with capitalism, or can capitalism be cured? The last 2 years, beginning in 2020 and 2021, have shown us that the world's global economic underbelly has been exposed. Africa was supposed to suffer the most, but for some reason, Africa has survived. More livelihoods have been destroyed than lives. What the world is looking for right now is a systemic change. And this year, in 2021, the Davos meeting of the World Economic Forum had a theme, the Great Reset. There's definitely a new global economic order coming. Just like with any culture, one cannot change the culture by looking at the behaviors of the population. One needs to look at the belief systems, because belief systems are what result in values, and the values are what result in consequences, and the consequences are the fruit comes from the beliefs. Now, where do beliefs come from? It is common social engineering knowledge that social influencers are the people who define the cultural values of their day. This could be the intellectuals, the philosophers, the religious leaders, or today, your social media influencers. These people define beliefs or ideas which are then taken up by the artists or the people who now graphically begin to put this together, whether it is in song or it is in dance, but in ways in which these beliefs are beginning to be socialized. And the result is that professionals take up these beliefs and becomes law and public policy. And then society now owns these ideas as part of their culture. If one were to look at the founding beliefs of business practice over the last 50 years, one will take us back to Friedman's statement in 1970 that the key purpose of business is to, or the social purpose of business, depending on which version you look at, is to maximize shareholder returns. And the whole idea was that if business just made its primary goal the pursuit of profits, then the market would take care of everything else. And the whole idea was that markets are driven by fear and selfish ambition, and therefore will always correct themselves. James, the writer of the book of James, claims that ideas have two sources. An idea can come from hell and demonic, or an idea can come from heaven. And he says that, who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show their good life by deeds done from the humility that comes from wisdom. But he says, if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. He says, such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly and spiritual and demonic. He says, for where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you have disorder and every evil practice. This describes the global markets for the last 50 years. Disorder and every evil practice. On the other hand, he says that wisdom that comes from above is first of all pure, peace-loving and considerate, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. One can conclude that what Milton Friedman said in 1970 laid the foundation for a whole new culture of business and doing business as we've seen it today. The result is 1% of the world owns more than the other 99% wealth put together. How can this change? We need to change the very foundation upon which businesses are made. So the philosopher or the ideas that came from Friedman now need to be changed in a way that will allow us to reset the global economy. Now, thankfully, in the year 2020, literally on the very anniversary of Friedman's statement, a new movement was born, the economics of mutuality. And this movement has stated that the purpose of business is not primarily profit, but businesses that have purpose are more profitable. This is a new paradigm. It's talking about businesses need to be purpose-driven and not profit-driven. And purpose-driven businesses actually steward multiple forms of capital, not just financial capital, but also social capital, human capital, natural capital, and also, of course, financial capital. And the whole paradigm is that businesses that are more complete in the way in which they steward capital actually allow there to be shared prosperity amongst all stakeholders and not just shareholders. This new paradigm is actually not new. The Mars Corporation, almost at the founding of this global transnational corporation, the founder made a statement that the purpose of his business was for the mutual benefit of all stakeholders. And in 1997, the Mars Corporation began to review whether this concept of a business of mutuality rather than a business of stakeholder exclusion is actually one that can drive a global economy. So the economics of mutuality was born at that time, and it is my postulation that Africa has an opportunity to be part of a much more just and global economic order. If one were to step back from a biblical perspective, part of the church's challenge over the last 2 decades in Africa has been a single focus on getting Christians saved and going to heaven with a spiritual dimension. Over the last 20 years or so, there's been an increased awareness that mission is more than just getting souls to heaven. It is addressing the total person. Jesus grew in wisdom, in stature, in favor with God and with man. And as churches begin to realize their total mission contribution to a total person, churches are becoming healthier. Now, churches also begin to realize that the church on Monday is just as significant as the church on Sunday. The church gathers on Sunday for worship and equipping, but the church on Monday in the marketplace also needs to begin to realize its purpose which God has placed in the marketplace. Purpose-driven businesses are going to be the key to seeing Africa's transformation move forward. Businesses that are purpose-driven, business people that drive multiple forms of capital. And in the next series, I'll be giving you case studies of how this actually works in practice.